Hello and welcome to your Mystic Monday mashup for the last week of September 2018. So if you are new to this installment, know that every Sunday night I post the backs of 3 cards to my Instagram at Shea. Your assignment from there is to meditate on your week ahead and then select the card that's calling out to you most. To intensify your intention settings, you can then leave your choice in the comments below the card or the comments below this video. And if you miss those cards, here is your selection for the week this week. So if you've studied those cards and selected either left, middle, or right, state out loud or write in the comments what your selection is, and we will now get on to the readings. So this week we are doing readings from my new favorite tarot deck called the Moonchild Tarot. And I am in love with this deck so much that I'm currently offering 10% off all email readings. So if you have a personal question, head over to michelleshaywalker.com/tarot and use the promo code Moonchild at checkout to get 10% off. If you selected the card to the left of the screen this week, you've selected the Ace of Pentacles. So the Ace of Pentacles comes as a spark of inspiration in regards to money and career. So this week, be on the lookout and be open to new ideas to monetizing your talents and your skills. It could be that you come up with a new passion that you've never even thought of making a living at, or it could be that new opportunities start to fall in your lap. But the Ace of Pentacles is about being open to these new ideas, because a lot of times we get into our daily routine and we have certain expectations that we set up for how we're going to make our living and the channels in which money is flowing to us. And by doing that and expecting it to come from only those sources, we block manifestations that are beyond that scope. So this week is about being open to new avenues of abundance and new ways to express your passion to the world, because ultimately what you want to do is make money doing what you love. So if you can focus on what you love and continue to do more of that, you can then be open to making more abundance in your life in ways that maybe you wouldn't have thought of before. So this is a good week to sit down and really evaluate your relationship around money and notice if there's any areas that you are ignoring your money or feeling a little uneasy about your finances. And sometimes this can be as simple as just getting organized with your thought process around things, and maybe even tapping on any limiting beliefs around your finances that you might have. If you are not familiar with tapping, I have a super old video that will probably be updated soon, but I will link the older video in the comments below on a how to tap to release limiting beliefs around money or anything that you might be wanting to shift your mindset on. So if you pick the Ace of Pentacles this week, be open to new ideas, be open to new channels of money, and evaluate any limiting beliefs that you have around drawing more financial abundance and career success into your life. If you selected card number 2, the card to the middle of the screen, your card for this week is the King of Swords. So the King of Swords is about getting really logical and rational about your thoughts and your evaluation of your life this week. So if you are feeling a little more emotional lately, it's a really great time to call in this King of Swords energy and be able to put aside the emotional evaluation of the things in your life and really look at the big picture from a more rational standpoint. So I am a big believer in following your heart, but occasionally there are times that we do need to have that more practical mindset. And so if you picked the middle card this week, you are being called towards that more rational mindset. It may be that without gathering all of the information, your heart can't make the right decision. So try to limit your emotional responses this week, both in grander situations and in interpersonal interactions. If you're having the impulse to have more emotional reactions to your relationships in your life, this is a good week to step away from it and start to really evaluate things from almost a profits and losses standpoint. Sit back and kind of make a pros and cons list about the things in your life that are kind of feeling in flux. And you might find that there are actually things that are sort of triggering to you, but they actually have more pros than cons. And so those are the things that are worth kind of sticking out these emotional triggers and sticking through the situation at hand until you can find more clarity and more information to fully evaluate the situation. So if you pick card number 3, the card to the right of the screen, the card for your selection this week is the Hierophant. So the Hierophant is the teacher of the tarot. It is the calling to seek out further education in your skills and services and your passions so that you can really further develop as a full being. So whatever it is that you're kind of evaluating in your life this week, whatever it is that you've been drawn towards lately, it's a great time to further your knowledge in those areas. And it could be further your knowledge in a certain skill. It could be further your knowledge in the workings of your own mind. If you're doing a lot of self-evaluation, it's a really great time to find someone to help guide you through that. A life coach, a therapist, an intuitive coach, whatever it is that's going to serve you best in your self-development and in your self-growth and in your knowledge development of your own inner workings. That would be a really great way to service yourself this week by finding a teacher or a guide of some kind. Or if your current focus has really been more on your passions or creativity and your skills in your career, it could be a good week to seek out just further classes and knowledge in that area. It may not mean going back to school for a whole other degree, but it could just be taking a little online class for something that might be a skill that you want to further develop in that area. And really the universe is on call this week to help support you in that search for a mentor or a guide. So to end this video, like I have in previous weeks, I would like to open up the Akashic Records to do an intuitive reading on the energy of not just this week, but whatever week it is that you end up watching this video. I trust that we find the things that we're meant to find in the time that we are meant to find them. So if you're watching this past the week that it was actually filmed for, that doesn't mean that this isn't valuable information for you. So if you'll bear with me, I'm going to do a quick ceremony to open up the Akashic Records and see what sort of advice they hold for us. I open the records in love. I open the records in light. I open the records for the greatest good of all. I ask that all Akashic guides, beings, masters, and teachers of us be here now. I ask that all guidance, all knowing, all truth be here. And I ask that a channel of connection be established to flow all love, light, and healing from the Akasha to us now. The records are open in love. The records are open in light. The records are open for the greatest good of all. So what do we need to know this week? We need to know that new ideas are on the horizon, both on a personal level and on a global, cultural, social, economic scale. It's a good week to be open to conversations, to be open to other people's ideas, and to just have an open ear to the opinions and the values of others without being reactive about our own. We're really entering a time where it's very important to recognize that your truths don't have to be the truths around you. And it doesn't mean that your truths aren't correct. They are your truths and they are correct for you, and that's why they feel resonant in your heart. But we are all made for different life paths and different purposes. And ultimately, the key to finding more peace within our personal relationships and within the world isn't about getting everyone on the same page. It's a week to let go of the reactivity and to be able to soften and to recognize that we're all on a different level of our spiritual learning. So if you were to think of our life paths here on this planet as different grade levels in school, you can't expect a kindergartner to read at a second grade level. And that doesn't mean that the kindergartner doesn't have great and valuable ideas that the second grader can learn from. It just means that there are certain skill sets in our emotional toolbox that we need in order to be able to develop certain viewpoints. And if you are speaking with someone who hasn't developed those tools, you can't expect them to skip ahead to your reading level. And again, that's not from a place of hierarchy. Just because someone isn't to that standpoint doesn't mean that they don't have something to offer you. A lot of times the beginner mindset is one of the most valuable things that we can have in learning any sort of skill, including how to exist on this planet, because the beginner mindset is not set in its ways. Although that's not always true. Sometimes we can find beginners that are a little bit conflicted with the ego, and they are trying to push for things, but it's always coming from a place of sort of uncertainty. Whenever someone's pushing for something so hard that doesn't necessarily resonate for their heart. And so even in those times where you're feeling like you're hitting a wall with a discussion with someone, it's important to recognize the humanness underneath those flaws and underneath those views, and the fear that's really beneath holding so tightly to a belief system that may not be for the greater good. So that's kind of a heavy Akashic reading this week, but ultimately it comes down to being open to new ideas, being open to listening to others with an open heart, and with a sense of oneness, and with a sense of respect. It doesn't mean that we have to agree. It just means that the only way that we can properly hear each other is through a lens of love. And most of the time when there's conflict, we all want to feel heard, and we all want to feel respected for our own voice. So the more that we can give that to those around us, and the more that we can receive that for ourselves, the less reactivity we'll find within our interactions. And sometimes it's okay to just agree to disagree. So I hope that this reading has served you well. If you would like any more readings, whether they be tarot-based, Akashic, or Reiki energy healing, you can head over to my website, michellesheawalker.com, and find all of those resources there. And as always, if you like this video, the only way I know that is if you hit the like button, subscribe, and share it with your friends so that I can keep posting more of what you love.